Glyph, you have an idea. Can you summarize your product idea? And by the end of this, we're going to tell you how to get to the point where you're cashing major checks for your idea. But please, tell me.
In the hobby of tortoises and really herpetoculture in general, which is basically the reptile hobby, there are so many different avenues that you can go down in terms of structures. There are people that keep bearded dragons in pop-up greenhouse tents that are 6 feet by 3 feet in their garages. There are people that are keeping tortoises in storage containers. Turtles are being kept in massive, like 500-gallon stock tubs, right? There is no concrete way of, hey, this is how you do something, because everything is just so inventive, like, and creative for anyone that's into reptiles. And I would say it's a step further than hamsters per se, right? Hamsters, you know that you can get a cage, and the cage will have tubes that you can connect to. It'll be a food dish and a water bowl. It's not like that for reptiles. Everything.
There's such a standard for hamsters.
Exactly.
And you're telling me there's not this standard for tortoises and reptiles?
There is not. And a lot of times people don't really want to invest the money in keeping a tortoise and keeping a reptile.
Do you think that's because hamsters are cute and it's almost like a fad? You know, it's like, oh, let's get you a cute little hamster, and you got to have a cute little house and a cute little water bottle and things like that. But it's a snake, and you're like, oh, it's a snake.
Right. Well, I don't know, right?
Yeah.
A snake could live like 30 years.
For sure.
And the hamster is living 2 years. And then
or the snake eats the hamster.
Or the snake eats the hamster. And like the best case scenario. I think that what I am looking to do is to bridge a gap that is missing, right? Tortoises range in size from 2 inches to 2.5 feet.
Okay.
Interesting.
Right. Yeah. And there is just so many, there is an opportunity here that nobody has fully captured on or capitalized on, where you could create a modular home, like a grow with me home for your reptile tortoise. You could even throw like a hamster or guinea pig rabbit in there. Yeah. It could be used as a doghouse, but basically there is nothing that gives a customer control to say, this is what I want out of this product for my pet. I want it to be an L shape like this table here. Sure. I want it to be a 4x4 structure because I have this fat tortoise that likes to poop right in the middle, right? Mm-hmm. Like there is no cut and dry way there is nothing that gives customers ownership of what they are doing, and people like the ownership.
Well, and they want standardization, right? Exactly. We love walking into Target knowing that we can get the case for the hamster here, the food for it right next to it, and the water jug right next to it. Well, and they're all made by the same manufacturer, the same brand name, right?
I also feel like people are nuts over accessories, and there's like the heating element and the light element and the feeder element. All those dirty little side things end up being so much more profitable than your actual product itself. And that's super awesome.
Right. And to that point, nobody heats their reptiles the same way.
Right.
Right. Like I may, in my tortoise enclosure, I have a radiated heater that was $20 from Walmart. Somebody else might have a heat panel that is just at the top. Someone else may have a ceramic heat emitter. Like there are so many different ways to heat an enclosure up. Really, you're just trying to get this animal to a baseline in the middle of the winter while you're housing them outside to 80 degrees.
So if you're offering each one of those separate people an option how to mount their heater, that's where you're going to be killing it.
That's what we're doing.
Okay.
Right. And the goal here is to really do 2 things. Yeah. Make sure that this house is customizable and insulated for outdoors.
Okay.
Can withstand 114 degrees out here in Santa Clarita and, down to 4. I mean, if you're in anything below freezing, hopefully you're taking your reptile inside. Right. But there are people that live on the East Coast that do have, or the Midwest, that do get close to below freezing and the reptiles are outside.
So even if it's not while the reptile's in it, I mean, a lot of people who would put something outside for a rabbit or a dog would leave it out there through that anyway, and you want to just make sure that it's going to hold up to the elements for a couple months or whatever it may be.
And you want to make sure that it's going to hold up to their elements. Right? Because at first I got a tortoise and I was just like, oh, this is cool. It poops like every 3 days.
Okay.
But when it poops, you're like, oh, dang, all this came out of you.
Right.
Right. And then tortoises specifically eat a lot of grass.
Right.
Right. And if a tortoise is eating and excreting grass, it smells like a barn.
Gotcha.
So I also need something like personally, like we have a two dog house.
Okay.
I've had to line the entire thing with a liner. And every month or so, like there's a barn smell and I know that I've got to like get everything out and clean it.
And that's made out of wood? What is that made out of?
It's made out of wood, but I've lined it with like a weatherproof liner.
Right.
Right. That is a clunky process. It is a doghouse. It's not made for a smaller animal. It's made for an animal that is not going to poop where it sleeps.
Right.
Right. And so this is something that can easily be hosed down like within seconds, something that you're not having to worry about like urine like seeping into anything permanently. It's something that we could have that can double as a really cool bed, a really cool enclosure for a dog. Maybe somebody in Vegas has their dog outside, something that'll keep the animal cool as well. So it's supposed to be all inclusive. Really thinking like my train of thought is always, if I see something immediately, which frustrates everyone that I know, is here's the problem.
Right.
And I'm not arguing with you. I'm just telling you how we should fix it.
Yeah.
And
Opportunity.
Here's a question for you. Why, and hopefully the answer is logical with it, but why don't you just get something bigger to start with?
you may not need it.
Right.
Right. And you're also trying to like keep your costs down. Right. Same thing with a house.
Mm-hmm.
We could have like a 5-bedroom house that's going to need to be heated all throughout the winter on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
But for one person, it's like, well, it may take this one person like years to even realize that they can go over here in the room.
Right.
When you can just have this one person sleep in a bedroom and heat the bedroom.
Right.
Right. You don't want to spend the time and the money. Like the goal with everything is to spend the least amount of money for what you need to do.
Yeah.
And anyone in the reptile hobby at all knows that there is an increase when it comes to your electric bill.
Oh, yeah.
Every reptile that comes into your house boosts your electric bill up $5 a month.
Right. And I guess another take on that would be that a lot of people, this is going to be a fad for, because, you know, you're like, you get something, you don't want to spend $200 on the whole big mixer. You want to spend $25, whatever it may be, on the small thing that fits the animal at the time. And then if you or your kid are like, I don't really care about turtles anymore, your investment, you haven't been lost.
Is a lot lower. A lot lower.
Yeah.
And then also it's probably something cool to say, hey, if you're taking this tortoise or this guinea pig or whatever it is, right, you can take this accessory as well. Go to this website here. As it grows, you can just add on to what this animal is already accustomed to.
Okay,
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. Well, two big things that are important to touch on here is it a good idea? We've established that the answer is yes. And number two is it scalable and is it a company? And the answer is yes, because of everything you just mentioned. The fact that you can grow with it, the fact that you can sell ancillary products, the fact that somebody comes to you and they buy 6 to make a cube, and a year later they buy 6 more to make a big rectangle, right? That's the most beautiful thing you can have in a product. You know, I don't want to touch on it, but you mentioned your idea about, you know, creating a book for another stream of income. Books suck for income. Here's why. You only buy one. Unless you're filling a classroom full of that book, which is the hope, but it's not going to happen off the bat. You only buy one book. You don't say, this is such a good book, I'm going to buy it again. You may look for the next book. So that's the only way you get a repeating customer, is to continually work. And you have to live that life. And to build a brand around a book, the only leverage a book has is if it's a good book or not. You don't get to say you're going to get richer and smarter and healthier from this book. You know, if it's for for instance, a science fiction book, you're not going to get any of those things. It's just pure entertainment. So the repeat aspect isn't there. With your product and your business, it is.
Well, and that too, I think the book, so I wrote a children's book and I am in the process of working with an illustrator now, and we're going back and forth. I don't know exactly how much I want to invest into the children's book. I love it. I think it's great. I think the illustrator is great. I've already went through a book editor, but I think the book was just the catapult. You know, I think the biggest thing, which I have, but my biggest questions for you guys is, all right, I have all of this. I have a designer that I think is incredible. And how do I go from there? Like,
all right. Like then let's do this. We already did step 1, right? You have a good idea and it's scalable. What's step 2?
I would think step 2 is like getting it on paper in some kind of way.
Okay. Definitely getting it on paper in some kind of way. Designing or prototyping. You can bundle all those into step 2. Paper, design, and prototype. Now I'm going to keep this flowing because we have a lot to cover. And remember, by step 7, you're going to be a millionaire. We only have an hour to make that happen.
Great.
Step 2, design, prototype, put it on paper. So you've put it on paper. You and I had a conversation candidly last week about a similar idea. I turned you on to our engineer, Lance. And the reason I turned you on to Lance this early in the stage, Lance from Freelance Engineering, that is because you told me I don't want to build this prototype myself, because Marcus and I preach that all the time. Duct tape it, glue it, cut it out of cardboard, we don't care. But you didn't want to do that, and that's fine. So that's why I told you then you need to go straight to an engineer, and you're going to have to put up a little bit more upfront money to figure out the nuts and bolts of how you can pimp a Chinese manufacturer into making you a sample. That's why you're working with Lance right now.
And Lance is incredible.
Dude, he rocks. He rocks my socks. He's awesome.
First off, he's like equally as passionate about the product as I am. And we have like 5 or 6 different threads. We were talking right before I got here. Yeah. It is great. We're just like feeding off of each other's energy right now. We were talking at 10:30 his time. He lives in Toronto.
Right.
You know, and so
dude's a gangster. That's what he is.
He is like
gangster Lance is what we call him at TorkStrap.
Yeah. He's just like willing to listen to like me ramble for a long time. And it's not going in one ear and out the other. Like he's taking it a step further. Like I suggest something, he goes a step further.
Well, that's why he's perfect for inventors. He's not transactional in that sense. He's figured out it's his passion to help people solve problems. And he's been an engineer for major companies that are like, hey, photograph this machine, the 10,000 parts on this machine, and put them into a CAD. This is your 6 months assignment, you know?
Yeah.
Like he's kind of over that stuff. He is a tinkerer at his heart. So you're giving him the ability to do that. He found something he loves that he can make money off of it. Everybody wins. So step 2, you're designing this with Lance.
Also, I would say, just to back up to your step 2, like going out and building the prototype. Yesterday, I was like, all right, I'm talking to Lance. I can't wait anymore. I literally went to Home Depot, found 2x2 foam core panels, and in the middle of Home Depot, I just like constructed this entire thing, Jimmy rigging it with like Joyce from the wood department.
Yeah, there you go. You're getting scrappy, and you'll learn a lot, surprisingly a lot. And you'll look back at those moments. And I hang on to bits of information. I know things about strap webbing no one should know because of the early days of just getting my hands dirty.
Right.
You know, customers will come in, why don't you use stainless steel? Stainless steel is half the strength. Right, little things that normal people aren't going to know unless they're kind of getting in there and getting their hands dirty. But I digress. Do you feel that you and Lance will soon have something on a CAD drawing that you can send to a Chinese manufacturer? Or are you just going all over the place with ideas?
No, I think he has like just like the skeleton right now.
Okay.
And what I asked for, he's like, hey, he's like, I wanted to get this to you today.
That's how he is.
Last night, like he sent it over. I was in love with it immediately.
Good.
Just being able to see it. And I think between that and like Home Depot, I was like a step closer to seeing this thing come to life a little bit. I'm hoping that by Monday or Tuesday, we have something on paper where we could at least talk about.
Well, and if he's gonna, is he doing the CAD part of it too, or is it?
Yes.
Okay, I mean, so you'll have something that you can go 3D print and test yourself as well.
Correct.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah. And that's the goal. Like I am not a person that sleeps on anything.
Mhm.
I go through everything. Like I go about life with so much intensity that it's frustrating for a lot of people because I am just like tunnel vision.
Mhm.
I cannot, like last night I was dreaming about this. Like and I don't know if it's even going to be successful. Right. But I just know that I want so much more out of life.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
The pet rock was successful. Why would a viable tortoise modular house not be successful?
I don't know. You know what? I have to thank you for asking that question, right? Because I have to keep like going back to Facebook and looking at all of the different tortoise groups of people commenting every time somebody posts a picture of a tortoise eating a raspberry, right? They're like, tortoises shouldn't eat raspberries. They should only eat like vegetables, right? And there are so many people that I'm like, there's a market out here.
Why, after all the Facebook groups you've seen, all the evidence you've seen, your own personal experience, why would you have any doubt that it's not viable? What's going on in there?
I think because when you see something and you want something so badly and you're and it's something that's like so far out, there is just doubt of like, can I really do this? Right. But like, there are so many things that like I've done. Like I wanted kids. So my husband and I wanted kids. And we're like adopted 4. Like that is like, that's like something that I never thought would happen. And it's really just anxiety of like, at this point, not wanting to fail completely at something because there are little beings that are relying on me.
Anybody can relate to that. Marcus and I and we've been there. I shared a story once about when I got a tax bill for $1,100. Here I was trying to better my family's financial situation, and I'm costing us money based on silly mistakes.
If I got a tax bill for $1,100, I would pray to God. Thank him.
Oh. No. I'm not talking about my house. This is different. You're in a different realm now. When in the middle of July, you get a tax bill from the state of Illinois for not filing sale and use tax.
Oh, yeah.
And just ask randomly, you just cost your family $1,100 when you're trying to build a business and a product. That's the fears that people might keep people from starting this, is like things like that happen.
Well, not to feel stupid, like, is my idea stupid? Does anybody give a crap about tortoises and plastic enclosures? And the truth is, so many damn people give a crap about it. And like you just said, you went on and you see the forums and, did my tortoise ate a carrot today or whatever it is? People lose their minds over that. Here I am, like trying to get people in love with quick tie-down anchors, but there'll be 2.5 million views of a tortoise walking 3 feet and lifting his right arm.
And the unedited version of that tortoise walking is just like painful.
Yeah.
Like it's just a tortoise.
Yeah.
And I know because I film our tortoises all the time. And if there's no music and I don't speed it up slightly, it's just like, what?
Excruciating. But people love it.
Yes.
There's unlimited amounts of angles you can take to market this. Just social media alone. And never forget this. Your cell phone is the only tool you need to sell a lot of this product. Filming your tortoise up close and voicing over him, with different cuts and punch-ins on his face, and when he's chewing, when he's farting, when he's doing that little
and the kid who goes, I like turtles.
Yeah, the turtle kid. I mean, this is a treasure trove of content, but I'm getting into step 5. So we did 1 and 2. Good product. Engineered it. What are you going to do next? Once it's engineered and it's a banger, on computer it works, what are you going to do next?
Manufacturing.
That's correct. Okay. And you'll be ready. And you're not going to do it. You're not going to fumble through it like Marcus and I did, where we try to manufacture it ourselves in our garage, or or getting the neighborhood kids to help you put nuts and bolts together, or you've
thought
about it.
I have thought about it yesterday.
Do. Please tell me. Tell me your crazy idea.
Yesterday I was just like going through and I was like, all right, like how does this all actually work? And Lance and I are on Alibaba and we're looking at these 4x8 insulated corrugated sheets, right? And they've got like really nice like indoor outdoor finishing. Guys are like setting them on fire, and I'm just like, that's it. And I'm like, all right, I gotta like, can I just get one? And I'm like, if I can get one, or even if I can get them to like chop it down to like 2x2, I could just sit in my garage like while I'm like working on a Zoom call and just like drill holes into it constantly. And I see you shaking your head. I'm just not that person.
No,
I
am that person, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Okay. You can't sustain that.
It's called a busy idiot.
Yeah.
A busy idiot.
Don't be that.
Well, and for all of us out there, I'm a pretty do-it-yourself guy, and I'm doing all these things. And what you just realize is that's silly because, in your case with a Lance, you're paying somebody. Yes, it's probably more than you might. He's totally reasonable. You might have been like, I wasn't going to spend money on this, but he's going to get you 10 times further than I got, in 2 weeks with him than I got in 6 months trying to do it myself. And then you're already ready to pounce on that next thing. And that is the one big, one of the big lessons for our listeners I've learned is spend a little bit of money and do it right, because it'll propel you so much further, so much quicker than it will if you try to just like, I'm going to save $100 and I'm going to, punch these holes myself. It never works that way.
Yeah. And well, also too, it's what I was thinking, and this is something that I carry with me at work, is that like, and even people that are working underneath you have a different perception and vision, and it takes a team of people to make an idea better. And that just can't happen or originate with me, right? Like maybe this is like my mastermind product, right? But really somebody who knows how to fasten things is going to be way better at fastening than I am.
100%.
So, and like just working with Lance, very short period of time, like I think that we started talking like maybe 2 days ago. Like he feels like he's my brother now. Like, he's asking all of these questions that like pushes me to the next level. And he's also saying like, and with the, modality of everything, if you do this, you can do X, Y, and Z as well. Right. So he's now like forward thinking. And we're really just like in a space now where it feels good to like have somebody that is listening to me. It's like a paid friend that is listening to me, vent and talk about like all the things that I want.
It's wildly important.
It is. And it's motivation. One of the biggest things when you're sitting in a room by yourself, it's very easy to go a week and not have done anything or gotten anywhere. But in your case, somebody challenges you with one question and then it re-excites you about it. Like, right. Oh, have you thought about this? I haven't thought about this, but because this, now I can make it in blue, green, and gray, or I didn't think about this. Now I can make it 2 stories or.
Right.
Yeah.
And originally I was thinking about, I think when we were talking last week, I was like, yeah, I'm going to find somebody on Fiverr because this is like, I know that this is what I want and it can be done. And for me personally, like, because I like my book editor was Fiverr, like the illustrator's Fiverr, like my YouTube thumbnail creation is Fiverr. So like, I'm accustomed to that. It's not going to work for this process.
It will not. You're right. Yeah. I'm glad you see the difference. Yeah. There is that defining line, and anything that's going to be manufactured, inherently it's going to have issues. So you're going to have callbacks. And I have Fiverr relationships that I call back from years ago, and you can still put the pieces back together. Usually they still have your source files on whatever they were making for you, but it's different, man. You need tender love and care with your idea. And we need revisions. We need forward thinking. You need that rat-a-tat-tat with your engineer, right? So this is not a designer's job. This is more of an engineer's job.
And I think too, it has so much to do with the personality of the person that is working with you, right? Some people, like Lance, is like, he's pushy.
Oh yeah,
like Lance,
he'll keep you honest.
is a pushy guy, and that's fine because I like being pushed, right? Like I like people. Like I think that there should be a very like an uncomfortable fire behind everyone,
of course,
at all times,
of course,
like just with life and what they want to do.
Yeah.
Like I don't think anyone should ever sit and be comfortable. And Lance, like first thing this morning, he's emailing me, and I wanted to reach out to him, but I was like, let me just respect this, we just
9 to 5,
respect his time,
yeah.
right? And he's emailing. I'm like, all right, this guy is ready.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the value of an engineer versus the value, like the Fiverr. I'm a big fan of Fiverr. I've used it plenty of times for plenty of things. If you just need something cut and dry, or you've already got it fleshed out and you need it put into a 3D, but to bounce things off and to further your own idea, especially if you don't have it 100% fleshed out, that's the value of an engineer.
Right. And I didn't want somebody just asking me, how are you going to connect it? I'm
right.
like, I don't know. Like, you're like, that's your job.
Right.
You tell me how to connect. This is what it needs to connect.
Yeah.
And that's like, and just immediately he's like, and Alibaba, for some reason, I just thought it was a complete scam until recently.
Sure.
And had I known it back then, I would have bought the casita from my backyard in my last place. But, but we're just like there's just so much, like it's weird. It's like anybody at any time should have, especially like in this very unknown era that we're in now of like, are we heading towards a depression? Are we not? Like there are just so many people that don't have jobs that I don't feel like I could rely on. We had a writer strike that affected SAG.
Yeah.
And I'm not even, I work in non-scripted, right? And that is reality TV. That trickled over into reality TV. There are so many people that are not working, right?
There's no such thing as stability in 2024. It's on you.
You have to create it for yourself.
I want to go back to Alibaba, your casita, and quality. Let me just quickly do a broad strokes overview of Alibaba for you and for everybody. Yes, it's a legitimate place to do business. Here's the thing about Chinese manufacturing and Alibaba. Chinese are really good at making things fast, but not quality. Now, everything good in this country, this water bottle, this was made in Australia, these tables was made in China, and it's made well because there was a strong U.S. company driving that manufacturer to make it well. When they just private label a casita, I'm glad you didn't buy it because it's going to come in wonky, holes aren't going to line up because it's a get it out the door mentality. Good Chinese manufacturing is a matter of a good U.S. company standing behind them and saying, let's go, let's do this together.
Do you have a personal experience in that with your product?
Yeah, that's just what I've noticed is you can't just find a manufacturer and say, here's an engineered drawing, please, I want this done really well. There's a lot of factors into it. So we're going to get into step, I think 3 or 4 right now, which is manufacturing, right? So you're going to take this engineered drawing to a manufacturer, and I say take lightly because you don't have to go to China. It certainly helps. And if you're really serious, it can really save you a lot of time and a lot of headache. But it can be done remotely. Marcus has done it. I've done it. We've just paid for it. Be prepared to pay. You can pretty much count on like 80% quality if you're not going to go over there and harp on them. You can pretty much count on paying 30% more than you probably should if you haven't made that face-to-face. But that's okay. This is the US. You can still make good profit on a product that's not perfect yet, right? We can get there in chapter 2. So utilize Alibaba to find manufacturers making similar things. I'm thinking of like those igloo plastic dog houses, maybe chain plastic dog houses, maybe just plastic panels for kids' play areas that are also modular. You mentioned the raw material that you found that was like perfect. And if you could just cut it up and make it, maybe the people selling that sheet have a guy across the street who's more than happy to take those cut pieces to your spec and pre-assemble them, box them up, artwork on the packaging. That can all be done. And the way you establish those relationships is by hitting up these manufacturers, sending them the CAD drawing. You don't tell them what it is. You don't put labels on it or logos Or if you don't want to expose the idea fully, you send them half of the CAD drawing just to understand if they can do it. And if they, oftentimes they're going to say yes, no matter what. That's very cultural. That's their cultural norm. And that's when you challenge them. Well, how are you going to do it? Well, where are you going to get the hinges? Well, where are you going to get the set screws? Where are you going to get the joists, right? And when they start giving you the runaround, you can kind of tell, you can kind of vibe when somebody's just BSing you and just trying to take a job. And so you're just going to basically have a parallel conversation with 3 to 6 manufacturers at the same time. I always just do 2 or 3, but really you should do like 6. And then based on who has the best English, who has the best story, who has the best logic behind how they're going to do it, who can do the most A to Z in their facility, right? You know, are you guys going to package this, or are you going to send it somewhere else for packaging that? No, I'm not asking you.
Oh yeah.
This is all the above type of things that you're going to ask this manufacturer till you ultimately come to your decision. And 2 things are going to happen. You're going to learn a buttload about your industry. If you're in plastics, sheet metals, whatever it is, you're going to learn a buttload in a short amount of time. They're going to say, no, dear, we can't do that. It can't be heated because it will expand, or it can't be cut at an angle because it will fray. Lots of little things you're going to learn quickly. And that's why you have Lance on your team and you involve him in the conversation, and he knows how to make the necessary adjustments. This is stuff you don't get with Fiverr, right?
Right.
But that in a shell is your manufacturing process. You can complete the communication, you can agree on a price, and you can order a sample all on Alibaba. And for that, it's a beautiful place. It just takes you, Cliff, the leader at the helm, making sure things are done right.
You know, that is a big fear. You're like, this is my first manufacturer. Am I going to screw this up? Are they going to be able to handle it? Once you feel good enough, once your gut tells you or your research tells you to go forth, don't think that has to be a forever thing and you're locked in. You're going to have a minimum quantity. They're going to say, you know what? If you're going to order these panels from us, we need at least 5,000 units or whatever it may be at this price, right? That, you know, you're going to get a price break for more and all these things. But back to me saying, get the ball rolling. As long as the price is doable for you and you're not straight up losing money right out of the bat, that you could sell these things, just know that you're going to learn so much about the process and moving forward with that, and that you can then, change it up, or maybe that second that, you switch to another manufacturer after because you can save X amount of money or whatever it is. So don't be so afraid that you stop yourself from doing it because of those decisions. Like, I've made that mistake. And once you just get going, you learn everything you need to learn so fast compared to all the what ifs.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to keep that in mind. Lance and I were talking the very first day, and it was just like we were just like ping-ponging off of each other for like an hour and a half. And then he said one thing. He's like, maybe, you can just like start a Kickstarter. And that just like deflated me.
Okay.
Because the idea of Kickstarter, like Kickstarters go well for some people and they go horribly wrong for others. And I feel like I would be that person that it goes horribly wrong for because I am not a person that typically reaches out and asks people for any support whatsoever. I just pop out of the blue, like bought a house, you know what I mean? And so it would just be very difficult for me personally to like do a Kickstarter. I'm always thinking that, each week I could just take a little bit of money when I get paid and throw it towards a project. I would even take a loan before a Kickstarter because I know what I could manage.
Can I ask you something? How far do you think Bezos would be if he was delivering packages door to door?
Oh, not very far.
The point is scalability and your right to leverage things that you're entitled to now. And you are entitled to other people's money now because you have a product now, something that people want so bad they'll pull out their wallet for it. So if you want to do it yourself, I totally condone that. But there is nothing wrong. You would be doing people a favor by starting a Kickstarter. If they think that there's a chance they could get this awesome modular home for their tortoise and be the first in line, and they're going to pay for it, that's your money and you earned it.
Even
though it's speculation.
Yeah. And so
I see what you're saying.
And to be open with you,
Yes.
I've had a Kickstarter and it was a failed Kickstarter because I didn't know anything about anything when I did it. Grant's had three Kickstarters? Two Kickstarters.
4 total, 2 successful.
Okay. So the Kickstarter costs you nothing really up front. It's just your time and you're pushing. And when you say, oh, I don't really want to ask people you're not asking your parents or your friends immediately. Sure, that's a great way to start and to get it out there. And sure, those are going to be the people who they don't give a crap about turtle enclosures, but they're going to be your first $5 because they're your friends, which is all great. But other than that, like it gets you on a platform, you're going to start getting feedback, and especially something, I know I keep saying this, but my product, it's pretty boring unless you're really into what it's doing. But people are mad over reptiles and kids love tortoises and you can make things cute and you can have funny drawings and you can have, there's so much wrapped around that those are the ones that kill on Kickstarter. A cute little story about a cute little tortoise who needs to, he starts as a bachelor or whatever it is, and then he brings in a family and needs to make a bigger home or whatever it may be. People relate to that. They love that. It's cute. Oh, I need to get this for my kids, and they're killing it. So the moral of the story is I'm in a complete agreement. You have nothing to lose by doing a Kickstarter. Maybe a little bit of ego. If for some reason you're not killing it as quick as you thought you were, that would be the only thing. And that's a silly reason to do any of this stuff, to not do any of this stuff.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Who cares? Mm-hmm. Nobody's going to look at you at the end of this and be like, oh, you had a failed Kickstarter. Nobody gives a crap. But if it goes mad big. And that could be absolutely propel you into your first X amount of thousands or whatever it is you need to get that first batch from your manufacturer. So I don't know. That's my 2 cents.
You guys have just like every 5 minutes, it's like I'm that emoji with like the head exploding.
Yeah. But you're not dumping, 20,000 into Kickstarter and you're like, oh shit, that failed. You're dumping nothing but time and a bit of your, dumb down your ego for a minute kind of thing.
So I get my prototype first, right?
100%.
Or I get my prototype
Well, you got to test that. You got to know that your product's ready to rock.
Let's call it a sample because
my sample.
Lance is virtually prototyped in this sense. Okay, it's not a true test, but at this point, you can ask a manufacturer for a bona fide sample. And that's 2 things. It's your chance to prototype, see if it works for you and does the things you want it to accomplish. And it's a test to the manufacturer. Is this really, really good? Because a sample, they're going to do their best work, right?
Yes.
Mass production, dumb that down by about 30%. So you get those 2 things accomplished. You kill 2 birds with 1 stone in that sense.
And sorry, can I ask? So let's just say I have this sample come in. It's 1 part, right? Do I just order X amount of this same 1 part, or do I let a manufacturer grab like the screws and nuts and bolts of all of it together?
Well, I just want to say you want to have the manufacturer do as much as
100%.
You want to have them do 100% of the job.
Okay.
Well, there's 2. I mean, there's 2 stories behind that. Grant was he began his thing by getting all the different components brought in and then having to do it, but
assembling in the US.
The problem with that is now if he has somebody in Australia who goes, oh, I love your product, I want 1,000 units. Now he has to get those. He has to assemble them here. Then he has to ship them from here to there. If you have all-in-one ready to rock, you are ready to go in any platform in any way. It's already taken care of. You don't have to think outside the box.
Now, if somebody wants, like, let's just say it's a direct sale.
Okay.
Right. Does that come from China and they wait
no,
70 weeks?
No, it never works that way. They're going to require you to have, let's just say, you've ordered, you're going to have a lot of modular parts. So I can't speak specifically to a modular world, but let's just say you have 20 walls, 20 ceilings, 20 lights, 20 whatever. You're going to bring that here, right? That's not you putting that together. That's them shipping the whatever it is that you need
kitted and
packaged.
Yep.
You are going to make 2 choices. You're selling it on an Amazon. You do it for Filled by Amazon. You send them 20 roofs, 20 lights, 20 whatever, and then people buy them and then they just package them as you go.
That's the Amazon model.
That's the Amazon. Or you have like a Shopify and you are going to have a fulfillment, somebody who does your fulfillment. You might think, I'm going to save money and do it myself. You're not.
You can. I mean,
you can, but the problem with that is you have a real job and you're working out of your garage. And let's say you have 1,000 units of something and 10 people buy them. You're going to have to go every day. If one person buys it, you're going to have to go to the post office or the UPS every single day for that one thing and package it, right? You'll figure that out. But for both Grant and I, we have a fulfillment lady who has like 15 products. We take her all these things.
15 clients.
15 clients. Sorry, yeah. But to answer your question, you're gonna bring those components, the walls, the whatever, and on your Shopify, people are like, oh, I want 2 walls. I want 2 ceilings. She's gonna grab it, she's gonna package it, and she's gonna send it to those people. Did that answer your question?
It does.
People are not gonna go. There are ways that's an option. It's you'll never get anywhere with that.
Wait,
and
you just said there are ways, there's an option.
No.
It's but what were you talking about?
Well, he said that
like the drop shipping from China.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Let's break that down really quick. What you described is drop shipping. And by no means can a legitimate company ever ship something directly from China to someone's door. It has not been quality control inspected. It's going to take 35 days to get there. And that's what shady ass TikTok influencers do, right? Peddling products that they don't know where they came from. They didn't look at them themselves, blah, blah, blah. To start, I know Marcus mentioned a lot that is 100% right, but it's also 100% overwhelming, right? You need to get a fulfillment lady and then you're going to get and to ship pallets to Amazon. But let's back this up let's put ourselves in the headspace of Cliff has successfully gotten a manufacturer to make his product. He and Lance, because Lance is going to help you with this. Cliff and Lance have decided what the perfect quintessential kit is that we can sell to the average consumer. It's the 6-panel, 6-wall, roof, and a light converter kit, all in a box that weighs 35 pounds with awesome artwork on it. That is your flagship product, right? Now you can order 500, and you'd be surprised, 500 would only take up a quarter of your garage. And you can have those in your garage, and you can ship from your home to start because you're not going to have 30 orders on day one. You're going to have 1 order from friends and family on day 1. Day 2, you're going to have 2 orders from more friends and family, pastors, schools, whatever relationships you have. And then you're going to exhaust all those in the first couple months, all those network people who might buy, or the people on the forums, those small-minded ways of marketing. You can handle that for a month or 2 to get your bearings, and then calm your body, and then look at the money and say, okay, then now I get the flow of this, right? And then I'll take you over to Martha, and we'll just have a conversation with her. Martha, do you have room for all this product? Would you be happy to pick, pack, and ship this for $5 an order? She'll be like, that's what I do. And then we'll get you going on that, right? So it can be a nice, slow process, but the bottom line is you have to have a system of getting product here, and that can be to your personal home for the first year. That's fine.
Yeah.
And then a system of how do I market this and sell this? And for me, I transitioned at about 12 orders a day. 12 orders a day I was getting pretty sick of. And then the days that you go viral, because you're going to have a kick-ass social media presence, right? The days you go viral, you're going to sell $5,000 overnight. That next day, you're going to have to call into work and say, I can't come into work. I'm sick. Meanwhile, you're picking and packing orders all day long. It's a good problem to have, but it's a problem nonetheless. So everybody loves this idea of passive income. How do I build a business that's just happening? China manufacturer, ship it to Amazon. I don't want to see it. I don't want to touch it. I just want to make money off of my good idea. It doesn't really work that way. Now, you don't have to kill yourself. You don't have to quit your job. I certainly ran my business for 2.5 years doing all the things I just described, the garage, the picking and packing. And I had 2 kids. You've met them, like life went on. I didn't miss out on any games. I didn't miss out on any wine nights. Like you're not burning the midnight oil, staying up till midnight every night. Well, that's why we do the podcast, because I did work ridiculous hours, but I was a busy idiot. Like we said earlier, you don't have to be.
And there's also a difference between passion and, like, in the beginning, passion and labor, right? Somebody's brain, like, you can sit in one spot and work your hardest without doing anything.
Sure.
Yeah.
So there's also a difference. But if it's something that you're passionate about, then
it was a good thing to dumb me down a little bit. So that does, it brings it a little less scary and a little more realistic. And that's the time when you could get your husband or you can get the kids to help pick and pack or whatever it may be. And he is right. You're going to start with a base product. It's going to be a base 6-panel thing with the light, with the whatever. And then you can start getting nutty with accessories and things like that. But your first order from that manufacturer should be a simple something that's one thing. Right. You don't know how many people want an extra X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
Do you need 10,000 of those or do you need 500 of those on hand? You don't know.
Well, and the plan is to start out with like packets of like a 4x4, a 2x4, a 4x4, a 2x2, and a 2x4.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think that's like generic. And then if somebody wants, a 2x6, all they have to do is add on the 2x2. Right. But the thing is that like, even with like generic reptile enclosures, there are very few, I think I know of one product where you can buy a connector to like make it from like 4 feet to 8 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's like, and I could never find the product twice. Like if I have to like really Google the weirdest like reptile vivarium enclosure,
right,
like connector, like it's just like, it's like not out there.
Mm-hmm.
Something to think about. I don't know if Grant will agree. He's already not agreeing. I haven't even said it yet. is shipping costs can vary. I luckily have a very small product and it's easy to ship. When you get into shipping air, as we call it, we have some buddies at Cydio Crate, and they make crates, and it's a plastic molded crate, which has nothing but air inside. You are paying for the shape of it, not for the density of it or what goes into it. If you're going to make a 4x4 panel, is that going to be obnoxious to ship? But you can do two 2x1 panels or whatever. I don't know if that's something to look at. I don't have that
Lance
answer.
will help you flat pack whatever type of situation you guys are building, because Lance is a fan of the podcast. I've worked with him a lot. He knows how to think 2 and 3 steps ahead. For example, we thought of a little nozzle, but it wasn't a high value item. It was a nozzle we could maybe sell for $12. It's really hard to make profit on something that you sell for $12 because it may cost, your marketing may be $5 per unit. Half of your budget is just marketing. Then you got to ship it for another $3 or $4. So then he looks at, all right, well then how can I build packaging that's a 3-pack? So now we can sell it for $39.95. We can afford the marketing. We can afford all these things that need to happen in the background passively. So you need to be the driver. Again, you're the captain. But Lance, once you give him that guidance, like, hey, Lance, we got to figure out how to get this to the U.S. efficiently. Mm-hmm. That's it, right. And then just hand that off. And if it's not good enough, say, try again, buddy.
Yeah.
And also something I don't know if we've ever brought this up, but when you start getting into pallets and having things shipped massively from China, they won't ship to your house. You can't just have them ship these pallets straight to your garage. Most of the time you have to have...
You can make it happen.
You can make it happen, but they'll want a residential... they'll want a industrial, commercial address. So just know that that's something to just wrap your head around, just so it's not a out of the blue question.
Well, what you do is you just make it clear to your forwarding agent, which I'll give you mine when you're ready, that this is going to a residence. And then they'll know, don't put it on pallets, put it loosely in a truck, and that way they can pile it all up in front of your garage or whatever they do.
Right.
I've had a guy drop off a pallet in the street in front of my driveway. He wouldn't even roll it up the driveway, right? Because it's a pallet. You can't go over bumps. I said, is there any way we can get it in the garage? He goes, yeah, $100. And I'm like, don't worry about it. So my product got rained on and blah, blah, blah. But point being, you can have this stuff shipped to your house.
Yeah.
It's a lot for people to think that I have to go commission a warehouse before I even know if this product is going to arrive. Am I going to get scammed? And now I'm paying a warehouse and the product never shows up. Like, I get it. There's so many little fears, but keep in mind, this world, economics always prevail. If they were shady, they wouldn't have had 4.5 stars on Alibaba. If they weren't delivering product, you would hear about it. They wouldn't be in business, right? People need things at their door. Hundreds of millions of people work from home, run businesses from home. This world is designed for you to succeed in it. So don't ever be scared by any of these little steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just going to carry that with me.
You have
this
to.
This world is designed for me to succeed.
Yeah.
Right?
It is. It is designed for people of normal capacity to do just fine. If you're even a little bit above normal capacity, you're going to have a good time. All right. So we've talked about manufacturing, potentially getting it to your door. Let me ask you this, Cliff. You got 500 units in your garage. How are you going to sell all these mofos?
Luckily, my husband comes from like a very corporate world where, he'll be able to help set up a website. Like sure. He's great with SEO. Good. There are a lot of things that like I could lean on that kind of support for. I used to be an editor, so
that's huge.
I can edit a video very quickly. Like I edited professionally as a career. So
jealous. So easy for you.
It is something that like it's an added skill where if I needed to make a YouTube like an Instagram video, I already know how I'm shooting it so that 9x16 versus 16 by 9.
How many people listening don't even know that, right? So you are leagues ahead of that in that sense.
And so I think it's like, it's really a talent of mine that is completely wasted that I don't use anymore. I was actually thinking today I should like edit for someone, but it's really just
you can edit this episode. I would love that.
It's after a while it's like it's a job that I don't really want. Like I don't want someone else's notes.
Yeah,
right.
For sure. No,
This is a really good. I'm going to interject a little bit of a fail on my side because we like to keep everybody and all our listeners very raw with our ups and downs. And just talking about buying media ads or like what's the next step? It's marketing, it's Facebook, it's Instagram, it's potentially paying for Meta ads or Google ads. So I had somebody, a fan of the product, go out and start pitching my product in Portland, and he did a banging good job, and he started to get some retail interest for me out of nowhere. And in my mind, I'm like, holy crap, I need to start looking into the retail market. I should get a sales guy. And this, if you followed along, you'll know that I was looking for a salesperson. And Grant has, his sales guy. He's so kick-ass because he does everything, right?
Because he's a W-2 employee, right? For me, so yeah.
He does anything and everything. It's not just sales. So I went through 50 resumes. I found myself a sales guy, and this guy is all about sales. He doesn't do anything else for me, and I'm like, this is a lot of money. I'm paying this guy double my mortgage, so I was paying roughly $6,000 a month, and I'm like, we're gonna kill it retail. He was all about retail. I was not even effing close
to being ready
for retail. I don't have retail ready product. I'm not even close to that. I'm 4 months plus out before I could even get what I need for that.
And when you say retail, you're not considering Amazon.
No,
retail.
I am not. I'm considering, let's say, a Home Depot or a Lowe's, having something that can hang on their shelves or whatever it may be. My product is in bags, and it's great for Shopify. It's great for Amazon. It is not great for a Lowe's or a Home Depot. What I need is a card. It shows you everything what it is. You walk up to it. I have it designed. What I don't have is 10,000 units ready for a Home Depot, whoever it is, to be like, we want your product, we want it now. Okay? So I had in my head that that's okay, we'll kind of figure it out, we'll do this. And we can do I think we maybe even next podcast is going to be much more in detail about why you're not retail ready even when you think you do. But I just want those listeners to know, I'm like, I effed up there. I've done 2 months with my sales guy. So that's $12,000 I spent on him. He hasn't had really anything to pre-sell. He's a kick-ass guy. He's a kick-ass salesman. This was the wrong time.
Right.
And so what he's actually done is we have shifted what he's going to do. He is awesome. He's actually going to help me in different ways. He's dumbing down what I'm paying him to take on a much different role. And we are now looking for all those other avenues, and we are brainstorming other stuff where I should have spent that money. And Grant actually told me this before, and I just had it that I needed to try it, is spending that money on meta ads, on a kick-ass guy who can do
ads manager,
or kick-ass girl. In my case, it's a guy. And it's just that money would have been so much better spent. $12,000 would have been better spent on the guy plus the ads being, let's even say it's a $6,000 or $5,000 or $4,000. I would have been killing it on my Shopify store because it would have been pointing all the stuff there. I would have been bringing in cash, but instead I've blown 2 months, 12 grand, and now I'm just getting into the meta ads and stuff like that. So for all you out there, all
like
you
my
youths,
grandpa.
I know. If you think you're close to retail ready, you're probably not anywhere close yet. And don't even think or care about retail. If you have like in your case, if you have a good Shopify website and your husband knows how to do all that and you've got that going, man, you got to be so damn. And with Grant, he's even can be ready, but what you've learned is that the money it's just not there, right? Like you're done
F retail.
Yeah.
5 years minimum. Milk e-commerce for 5 years minimum. Now I'll play devil's advocate to myself because I just spoke to Craig McManus from episode 16.
Yeah.
And I asked him a question about his website. He has a little magnet keychain, Magnet Pal utilitarian thing. And I asked him about his website and he goes, well, our website, we don't sell on our website. It just sits there to educate big box stores. That's his whole business model. He is a wizard of back-end deals and large palletized orders to distributors and retailers. That's his thing. It connects with him. But the margins are low in the beginning. The barrier to entry is difficult. The walls are tall. And e-commerce is just such a low-hanging fruit. The markets are so much bigger. So you might be thinking to yourself, oh, I'm going to design this and I'm going to hit up every pet shop in Santa Clarita and have them put 10 on their shelves each. You can do that. Maybe you should, but I'm telling you right now, your time is much better spent getting 5,000 good followers on TikTok, 6,000 good followers on Instagram, Facebook Reels, YouTube Shorts, YouTube long form, a good website that converts, building an Amazon store. All these things can happen. And this is still 96% of my business today at the 4-year mark is Shopify and Amazon sales, those sales are driven by my 150,000 followers on social media for TorkStrap / a ton of money in ad spend. But it started with like $3,000 a month in ad spend. Right. And even that, people are saying $3,000 a month. If $3,000 is making you $36,000, it's a pretty good return on investment, right?
And I even knew better. And I still
the sirens,
it was
the sirens of retail. We're going to buy it all and we're going to sell it.
You're like, oh, if one of these stores takes 10,000 units, blah, 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 blah. It sounds so sexy. The act of it is not. So I just want to reiterate to all those people out there, man, you have so much more control and so much better chance with going the like Shopify route and the Amazon route in the beginning. And when you are banging in sales and you have the capacity and you have the extra money, because if I'm going to just keep using Home Depot, but if a Home Depot wants your product, they're not going to be like, hey, we want 20,000 units. Here's this much money up front and da-da-da-da. They're going to pay you 60 to 90 days after. So you have to get into this massive floating money thing where, you have to have money that they're not going to give you. And then you're going to have to keep up with your inventory. So you're going to have other money, other places. And it's just, you get into this shitstorm so quick. And with the like Shopify or Amazon, it is so much more. And like he said, the meta ads and stuff, it's such a 1-to-1 ratio. You put a bit more into the ads, you make a bit more money. You know, you can keep up with your stock. You know exactly how much you have,
how much you're going to sell,
how much you're going to sell
out. You can dial it in.
So that is my gift to you, is my $12,000 mistake over the last 2 months. And should I have done it different? I massively should have done it different. Did it destroy my business and I'm leaving it? 100% not. I'm good, but that sucks.
I would say all of that exploded my brain and then put it right back in at the end. Well, because when you mentioned sales manager, and then when Grant right before had mentioned distributing lady, right? I didn't even think about that once. I really just thought I would email something over to China. Hey, here are the directions. You package it up. You should also print the directions.
Oh, God. There would be no English on that piece of paper. I'll tell you that right now.
And then ship it directly from. So it was like this whole thing has just been super informative.
That's good to hear. First of all, that's really good to hear. It is work. There's no doubt about it. It is not what people think it is. Inventing is not call up a company or email Lowe's and go pitch your product and they make you a millionaire. It is no one's priority in this world. There's no one in this world whose priority it is to make Cliff rich. Only yours, right? Lowe's doesn't want to make you rich. They want to make you work, and they want to make money off your work, right? Same with Amazon, same with anything. So you have to put yourself in a position of power. You have to think of yourself, I'm the guy with the keys. The more keys I own, the more power I have. Therefore, the more money I have, the more leverage I have, so on and so forth. No one else can make a TorkStrap legally. No one else can sell as many TorkStraps as I sell because I've perfected the craft of selling. I wouldn't say perfected, but I've obsessed over the craft of selling TorkStrap. There used to be fantasies in my head and role plays in my head of talking to people bigger than me and pitching to them and having them buy out my company and this, that, and the other. And now I don't entertain those conversations because by the time you get to a point where your business is worth enough to sell, it's also getting to be a lot of fun and you're paying yourself a good salary and you're looking at your valuation go up, up, and up.
And it's not work because you've got the people in place and
you've
things are flowing.
In place. Why would I sell it at the 2-year mark for $200,000 when at the 7-year mark it could be $20 million? You know, that's the value in it. So don't think about cashing out on it. Don't think about your brand. We haven't talked about that, but think about what you're going to name this thing, and not just the name, but the brand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When people see it, what do they think? How do they feel? You never see, we talk about it all the time, Red Bull. You never see somebody drinking a Red Bull in a commercial. You see somebody skydiving. Nike, you never see somebody talking about how soft the sole of the shoe is. You picture an athlete overcoming adversity, right?
Right.
That's brand.
Right.
Sorry, you were...
No. I was going to give an example of your thing, but let's keep going.
And you're not changing lives. You're making reptile enclosures, but you can have fun with it, right?
I think so. And that's how I really want to, I'm not inventing the light bulb. So I don't think, in my head, I've never even thought of it being at Home Depot or Lowe's, right? Or even like a pet store.
Okay.
I think that, post the pandemic, I think that most people are shopping the same way I do, which is largely through Shopify or Amazon.
And it's hefty research, right? You want to see as many videos, as many testimonials as you can.
Want to go to their Instagram page, check it out. I'm also, there are reptile and pet conventions. That's where I'm thinking I will spend a lot of my time doing marketing, is just showing up to these conventions and having a stand.
It's a good idea.
With the product and the large tortoise.
You'll learn more in 4 days than you would in 4 years by doing that and repping your product, hearing what people have to say about it. You can shoot social media at that thing. You could set up a GoPro in the corner and have 3 hours of footage that you could chop up and just put in subtitles of all the interesting conversations you had about tortoises, whatever, you can derive a ton of value from those types of things. It's never going to be one marketing ploy. It's going to be very holistic, right? Everything is going to work in synergy.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had people come on that say, well, I'm not going to build a Shopify store because Amazon has 300, 1,000 active daily users. In the US, it's such a big marketplace. Well, it's also very saturated. It also has 30 million active sellers. So you're fighting tooth and nail for people's attention. So you must have a good Shopify or whatever you use, Wix, I don't care. You must have a good website that converts. You must be on social media. You must pay for meta ads eventually. I didn't pay for marketing for years.
And
because like you, I'm good at video. I was good at going viral. I consider myself kind of a social engineer, not in the negative type of way, but anyway, you have all these things that you have to put equal value into. And at one point, you're building a pyramid and it's going to come to a peak and it's going to be the strongest structure you've ever seen. And Amazon could close tomorrow. I wouldn't lose an hour of sleep. I would lose half my sales, but I have the systems in place to recoup those. Because guess what happens? When Amazon crumbles, everybody goes and starts looking for independent websites. And my website is banging and it's ready to go. And they're looking for ads. My ads guy is ready. I could say, hey, pump it up to $20,000 a month. He'll pump it up and we'll make up for all that Amazon loss. I won't skip a beat, right? Not trying to flex, trying to tell you the reality of what this can be. And you have a good idea, Cliff.
You do. I like it.
Thank you. Thank you.
We wouldn't have had you over if you didn't.
Well, and it's one of those, I don't even say it's a sleeper idea. It's just there's so many things around it that make sense with it. And it's a thing. Like kids love the hell out of that stuff, and parents love the hell out of doing something with their kids about that, And it's not just a thing. You can make it a cute thing. You want a pink house, you want a blue house, you want a multicolored house. You can add this panel, that panel, and there's so many kick-ass varieties to that idea. And I mean I love it. And it is we joked about the Kickstarter. It's kind of like the perfect Kickstarter thing. You can already picture, and you're in media, you can already picture the cute little house like, and it's building and it's got these things. People lose their mind over that. So I got to have this. I don't even know why, or this is going to be next weekend's project. Yeah. That kind of stuff. So
and you got once again,
it's a good thing we recorded this, right? Because you're going to have to listen to it again and again.
Yeah. And I mean, right now I'm really just it is overwhelming to just keep going so far. And right now I just I really want to figure out get a few samples from a manufacturer, see what's even possible. I don't think that I'm asked, there's no electricity involved. So it should be relatively easy. I could make it myself had I I could make it myself.
Right.
And I just need somebody to say, I just need a manufacturer to give me one thing that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. Well, even in the interim, we skipped over, I think, a little bit. If he's going to give you the CAD files, you're going to have that. You can 3D print yourself some stuff to flesh out too. You've got 10 turtles, right?
That's what I was hoping to do.
Do 10 versions of it. Yeah. See if you're this works with all animals, all sizes, all whatever it is. There's no reason why you can't do that too. There's a good in between, and you can be doing that while you're working on the manufacturing stuff.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Yeah.
If you have pointed questions, we probably have time for one, maybe two of them.
I guess the most important thing that I keep thinking about is, when do I know if I've gone too far and I'm wasting money? In the very beginning stages, right?
I mean, I would say in the very beginning stages, you don't. That is such a hard question to ask, because you just want to keep going, and it's always that classic, the next step. You have a great idea. You've got somebody, an engineer, who doesn't have to give a crap about your idea, but who has told you he is engaged and he's loving it and he's loving creating it with you. Those type of little micro wins are already like you're spending the money in the right place, you've got a good person who's helping you, and you're getting on the right thing, I don't think there's a wrong answer. I don't think you're going to, unless all of a sudden a manufacturer says, we can make it for $100 a unit, and then you just go and be stupid with like whatever it is. But there's no wrong answer. Even if you overpay a little bit in the beginning, and you may have to because you want 100 units and you can't order 10,000 units, you're going to spend more than you want to. You're going to think that's not right, but it's not. It's not a wrong decision, and it's not a wrong spend.
Right.
So I think you're doing everything right, and I don't see a place right now that you're going to overspend in on the path that you're taking, if that makes sense. I don't know what Grant thinks, but.
Well, simply put and self-servingly put, if you follow this podcast, you're not going to waste really much money at all. To put things into perspective, I've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars doing the wrong things. That's why I'm passionate about this. And so follow those steps. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like, to get philosophical, probably shouldn't, but it's kind of like religion, right? You can poke holes in religion all you want. Oh, this happened to me. Why did that happen? And I'm not religious, but why did that happen to me? But if you have faith, eventually you come to a point where you convince yourself that, everything is justified and everything is true and fine. So a bad idea, a pet rock, it can be a banger, right? Yeah. A good idea, it's a little bit easier to make it a banger, but it can also be a catastrophe. Look at the Theranos story of Elizabeth with her blood panel test. It's just great concept, no logic behind how it was ever going to come together. But your question about money, it's very legitimate. And I shared with you my tax story, and you're going to have those days where you made a misstep and you lost $300, you lost $500, you lost $3,000.
And do you have to file in every state?
No, you don't have to file in every state. I think one of the last 3 episodes I talked about that, but you did. I talked about my experience. Not until you sell $100,000 in that state, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about anything for a long time.
Yeah, you don't have to worry.
I am now filing in probably 10 states.
Yeah.
No big deal. So
I could probably guess the states.
Well, go ahead, try.
Texas.
Yes.
North Carolina.
No.
Georgia.
Yes.
Florida.
No. North Carolina, Illinois, some other flyover states. I don't know. They love my stuff.
I would say like Texas, like you'd be just the man.
Oh, it's
you're the man out here in Santa Clarita, right? Because everyone it's either you have a Tesla or like an F-150.
That's true.
And you have a truck that has your name written on the side of it. So,
Yeah. I got recognized at Home Depot once, but I digress. Cliff, you're not going to have to waste that much money, and you just have to have a guiding light and a North Star, and I hope we gave that to you today, that you do have a good product. It is scalable. You can have ancillary products, 2-packs, 4-packs, 8-packs, red, blue, green, the water feeder, the blah, blah, blah. Don't get too excited.
Yeah, and don't get overwhelmed by, everything has a SKU, every new color, every new piece. Make your basic, start with your basic, start selling your basic, get people, and then worry about making pink, blue, green, orange.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because all those changes cost money, and you don't know if they're going to sell.
Yeah.
Run your flagship product for 2 years, and then once a year, you can introduce a new product.
Right. And then I will ask you, like, any recommendations for 3D printing companies?
They're all the same. I know Lance 3D, well,
he does, but it's smaller.
Yeah. I forget what it is. I mentioned one in one episode.
It's like something works or like...
there's a bunch. You can Google them. And the prices are all standard. It's not like, you'll see for a 2x something or, it's based on dimensions. And you can put in your dimensions and it'll tell you quick enough. I'm making it out of PLA, out of plastic. And it's not like you're going to get screwed out of something. You'll very quickly know how much it's going to cost you to print a panel. It's not a problem.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you ever need inspiration, there's not a lot of like inventing books out there, but there's plenty of books based around the concepts of multiplying money. And I'll mention Rich Dad, Poor Dad kind of got me on the journey of realizing how I was getting boned on my taxes. And you work more freelance, but I was a straight up 9-to-5 worker getting just penalized on my taxes. The Nike story is great to listen to. The Phil Knight story. really long. The Steve Jobs story is really great to listen to. These are great audiobooks just to kind of let you know the nuts and bolts. They get into the nitty gritty, you know, the detail. And now that you've kind of had this conversation and as you go along with it, you'll really connect with it. Beyond that, yeah, man, just keep on keeping on. I'm sure we left plenty of questions unanswered. We didn't even talk about your pricing structure, but we're going to run out of time. We can do a part 2, certainly. Let's let Cliff relax. Let's let him digest.
Like 4 or 5 months later,
Yeah.
let's see what I've done.
That's the fun of it.
You know?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
You'll have plenty of questions. Reach out to us anytime.
Yep.
The email is going to be in the description of the show. I'm going to wrap it up if you guys are good.
I'm good.
Cool.
Great.